This live satsang is presented by Radha Krishna Foundation in light of the ongoing lockdown and in support of Sri Lakshmi Mandir of West Palm Beach, Florida. Radha Krishna Dham of number 73 Village, Guyana. Number 7271 Sanatan Mandir of number 72 Village, Guyana. Dharma Mandir of London, United Kingdom. And Shiva Mandir Ashram of Leguan Island, Guyana.
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की जय। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे Sadguru Maharaj ki jai. Devotees of Bhagavan, again this morning, we're happy to join you in satsang. We hope that these few minutes that you'll spend with us, and I say a few minutes probably liberally, but it's a few minutes in comparison to the amount of minutes we have in a day, 1440, and probably not every day we do 2 hours of satsang. So for those of you who are with us, thanks for joining us. I'm happy to be with you this morning so that we can pray together, we can study the scriptures together, and we can appeal to the divine together, so that together we can all grow in every aspect of life. Like we always say in our prayer services, or even in our secular duties, when one embarks upon anything, one seeks the blessings of Ganapati Bhagavan, because we said he's Ganapati, he's the Lord of the Ganas. If you look at the picture of Ganesh Bhagavan, then he usually is seen with 4 arms, carrying different things, different tools, and these tools are to aid the devotees in their spiritual journeys. So you'd observe that Bhagavan Ganesha carries an axe in one hand, an axe. We talked about an axe last week, but an axe is to chop off worldly attachments that are harmful to us, attachments to unnecessary objects and situations, attachment to emotions and thoughts, even attachment to people that can be harmful to us. Ganapati Bhagavan carries a rope to rope your attention in towards where? Our attention in toward Bhagavan, and to hold it there so that constantly we can move in closer and closer to realization, closer and closer to his divine feet. Ganesh Bhagavan is always seen, he's known as Modak Priya. He's always carrying Modak, as we say, Laddu. And Laddus are sweet, Modak are sweet, so feed the devotees along their path of realization, to feed them so that they can continue energetically. So this symbolizes the bliss of satisfaction devotees experience. While we're being fed, it's not just food, but it's sweet food. It gives us satisfaction, being fed by Bhagavan. As we move closer and closer to their true nature, the divine nature. So Bhagavan will bless us, Ganapati, which he is doing by pouring out all these sweetmeats in different aspects of life for us. Together, all those things will make our spiritual evolution stronger and stronger. So usually, as we do, Ganapati is known as Siddhi Vinayak. He's the one who gives perfection to his devotees. He's Girijanandan. He's the son of Girija. Let us group our voices together as we pray to Ganesha Bhagavan. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvighanam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvamangala-mangalaye Shive Sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Triambake Gauri Narayani गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। 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 सिद्धि विनायक मोरिया, गिरिजानंदन मोरिया। सिद्धि विनायक मोरिया, गिरिजानंदन मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। एक दंत जय मोरिया, एक दंत जय मोरिया। गौरी सुत 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 जय मोरिया। लंबोदर जय मोरिया, अग्रदेव जय मोरिया। लंबोदर जय मोरिया, अग्रदेव जय मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। शुभ करता जय मोरिया, दुख हरता जय मोरिया। शुभ करता जय मोरिया, दुख हरता जय मोरिया। कृपा सिंधु जय मोरिया, बुद्धि विधाता मोरिया। कृपा सिंधु जय मोरिया, बुद्धि विधाता मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। सिद्धि विनायक मोरिया, सिद्धि विनायक मोरिया। गिरिजानंदन मोरिया, सिद्धि विनायक मोरिया। गिरिजानंदन मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया, मंगल मूर्ति मोरिया। गणपति भगवान की जय। As we move forward, we do prayers to Mahalakshmi and to Jagadamba Maya. I also this time want to extend a special welcome to my young Pandit friend, Pandit Nishal Mizir, joining us from Guyana. Welcome, Panditji. We pray to Mahalakshmi and to Jagadamba Maya. The prayer we chant, Jayanti Mangala Kali, Bhadra Kali, Kapalini, covers all the 9 names and 9 aspects of the Divine Mother. It's equal to Purnam, to that which is complete, a different form of Divine Mother that we can look up to, aspire to, the different aspects that will cover us against that which is harmful. Lakshmi karotu kalyanam Arogyam sukha sampada Mama shatrum vinashaya Deepajyoti Pradarshaya Mangala Murti Murtiya Gauram Padma Sambhava 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 ज्योतिर्नमोस्तुते सिद्धि बुद्धि प्रदे देवी भुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्रमूर्ति सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते जयन्ती मंगला काली भद्रकाली कपालनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वास्वधा नमोस्तुते विद्यावन्तं यशस्वन्तं लक्ष्मीवन्तं जनं कुरु रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि दृशो जहि देहि सौभाग्यमारोग्यं देहि मे परमं सुखं रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि दृशो जहि रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि दृशो जहि रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि दृशो जहि प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय। We also would like to make our place where we dwell, where we live. We like to bring Mangalam, blessing and success into that atmosphere as well, so that we can all live very peacefully. We can all have the strength of Hanumanji to tide us over various difficulties in life. We can have the calmness of mind of Bhagavan Sri Ram as he leads the way in our daily lives. Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari Rabahu Sodasrat Ajda Bihari Rabahu Sodasrat Ajda Bihari Mangal Bhavana Amangal Hari Mangal Bhavana Amangal Hari Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Kripa karo Guru Devaki Nai Kripa karo Guru Devaki Nai Mangal Bhavana Amangal Hari Mangal Bhavana Amangal Hari Mangal Bhavana भवन अमंगलहारी मंगल भवन अमंगलहारी राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 ओ राजा राम 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 सीता राम राम सीता राम 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 सीता राम श्री रामचंद्र भगवान की जय।
Radha Krishna Foundation presents an experience you don't want to miss, the first of its kind, with artists from all over the globe. Live on Facebook and YouTube. On August 8th, 2020, Janmashtami around the world.
Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. So before we go into Kirtan to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, that little advertisement, if you will, that you saw just now is a special Janmashtami program that the foundation is putting together. Again, because of the lockdown, most of the mandirs, most of the temples are not open. And so we want to bring something from different parts of the world for Janmashtami. So we'll have very talented musicians from different parts of the world, the children of the foundation doing what they do every day, their practice of yoga and sports and scriptures. We'll bring you bits and pieces of that. And also we'll bring you from the most professional that you can get, professional dancers from India. We'll bring you the story of Bhagavan Sri Krishna as a Krishna Leela in 2 or 3 small pieces. This will be aired on August 8th. I think that's a Saturday evening. So please mark your calendars and make a mental note of this date. Ensure you don't miss it. It will be a beautiful representation of Janmashtami. Shall we together? We group our voices together as we sing to Radharani, to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Anupam Sundar Nand ko chhora Manmohan Ghanshyam Anupam Sundar Nand ko छोरा मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम मुरली माधव राधे गोविंद मुरली माधव राधे गोविंद मुरली माधव राधे गोविंद मुरली माधव राधे गोविंद मधुसूदन घनश्याम मधुसूदन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोड़ा मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम जय जय राधे जय जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय जय राधे जय जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोरा मनमोहन घनश्याम कुंज बिहारी भक्त हितकारी कुंज बिहारी भक्त हितकारी कुंज बिहारी भक्त हितकारी कुंज बिहारी भक्त हितकारी नटवर सुंदर श्याम नटवर सुंदर श्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोड़ा मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण जय कृष्ण अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोड़ा मनमोहन घनश्याम मुरली माधव राधे गोविंद 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 मधुसूदन घनश्याम मधुसूदन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोड़ा मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को छोड़ा मनमोहन घनश्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद को लाला मनमोहन घनश्याम वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय Dear souls, my fellow pundits that are on, I see that my Mamu has come on as well, Pandit Hari Prasad, so Mamu, welcome, and to all the other pundits who are on, I welcome you again this morning. If you've been, for those of you who have been listening to or joining our satsang on a weekly basis, you will remember that we mentioned that we will be starting the reading or the examining of Bhagavad Gita, that we will start from the Bhakti Marg meaning the path of devotion, like we said earlier, the chapters 1 to 6, Karma Yoga, 7 to 12, Bhakti Yoga, and then the rest of the 7 chapters, 6 chapters rather, Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. So I just want to make it very clear that we'll attempt to do this morning. Going forward, we wanted to do something more structured, something more systematic, so we can all follow with our Bhagavad Gita and try to see what the verse means beyond what is written there in our little Bhagavad Gita. It might help to inform everyone that I am not an expert in Bhagavad Gita. I'm not qualified to interpret or explain Bhagavad Gita. However, what I will do is bring you the knowledge of all the greatest minds of Bhagavad Gita, the saints and sages, so that we can all be reminded of what these great personalities who use Bhagavad Gita not only to preach, but to better their own lives. We can understand from their minds what they think of Bhagavad Gita. So the question is always asked that what is the relevance? What is the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in our lives today? Most people, unfortunately, and you may have heard this as well, most people think Bhagavad Gita is either for old people or it's to be used when someone dies. Then Bhagavad Gita is read. Nothing can be farther from the truth. Knowers of Bhagavad Gita say that Gita transforms ordinary people into extraordinary people, and not necessarily for old people or when someone dies. We quoted from great scholars of humanity how they use Gita. Gandhi used Gita as his mother, as a source of information to deliver India from the powerful British Empire. Why do I say Gita? Because he did it through non-violence. And that is one of the things that Gita teaches us. So Gita opens our mind to a new way of thinking. Why? Because as human beings, we are thinkers. We remember the Chaupai. Bare bhagya manushtan pava Suradudalab sab grantan hi gava. Bare bhagya, we all know this Chaupai, manushtan, that we have manush. The root verb of this word manush is manuhu, which means to think. So Tulsidas ji could have used any other word. He could have used purush, he could have used nar, he could have used admi, but he purposefully used the word manush because the root verb is manuhu. So man, one thing we're blessed with is the ability to think, to discriminate, to decipher that from that which is wrong from that which is right. And so Bhagavad Gita teaches us a new way of thinking. It helps us to tap into our latent potentialities, our hidden strengths. A quote that many people know, latent potentialities become patent. In tune with the constancy of effort, an unknown quote, I think. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna here teaches. He teaches and walks Arjuna through the situation, or through the situation that he was in, so that he can rise to the highest level of perfection, and by extension, all of us can rise to the highest level of perfection if we follow Bhagavad Gita carefully. It is because of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita that the likes of Prahalad and so many other personalities emerged victorious when the system was really against them. The entire system, the entire world, the entire kingdom was against a little boy. Prahalad, he was 5 years old, but he used these Vedic teachings. So when your backs are against the wall, you turn to Bhagavad Gita, there will be a solution. Because Gita diagnoses and it prescribes a solution according to Gandhi. Gandhi says that Gita is my mother. Because Gita promises happiness. And not happiness that we have to find somewhere, but it promises happiness where we are, how we are, without having to search externally. We remember that Arjun was in a very difficult place mentally. He was in a quandary. And so he approached Bhagavan Sri Krishna for help. And so in the first 6 chapters, like we said before, Bhagavan Krishna taught Arjun how to do his duties as yoga, as karma yoga. And then in the battlefield, Arjun became dejected. And Arjun allowed himself to be overtaken by doubt and by attachment. Attachment over his sacred duty as a human being. He allowed the situation to appear a situation that was difficult, but he allowed it to appear that it was more powerful than him. And he was hesitant to stand up for what is right, for that which is right, choosing the easy way out. Arjun wanted to choose the easy way out, to quit. Quitting helps us to do nothing. But here Bhagavan Sri Krishna was with Arjun, and so because Arjun had all this knowledge and so much strength, he was a wielder of the Gandiva. However, Arjun was thinking that if I have Bhagavan with me, then he can fix anything and everything. So let's look at the first verse in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita and see what happened beyond when Arjun decided not to do anything. We examine Bhagavad Gita, we shall find out. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjana Dashraya Asansayam Samagram Mam Yata Gyayasi Tachrino Yata Gyayasi Tachrino. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll go through just 2 verses, the first and second ones. You'll find out that the first verse there's not much to explain here. It's in the form of a few questions. A few questions that Bhagavan presupposes that Arjuna will ask. Arjuna did not directly ask these questions. He's Bhagavan, so he saw the questions coming, and he decided to answer these questions Arjuna would ask. So Sri Bhagavan Uvad. So Bhagavan speaks here. He says, Arjun, that with the mind attached exclusively to me and surrendering to me through the practice of Bhakti Yoga, can you know me completely? And can it take you to such a point where you'd be free from all doubt? So Arjun, today I will tell you how, with the mind attached to me exclusively and surrendering to me, how you can know me completely free from doubts. So what is the process here in this first verse? The process of devotion. The first thing that will happen is there will be a transference of knowledge to Arjun, and by extension to the world, of course. So Arjun is to listen. The first requirement, Arjun is to listen with a mind attached to Sri Krishna. Maya saktaha. That Arjun, if you listen with a mind attached to me, then you will be able to grasp this knowledge. See, we've been given a mind. We were born with this mind, and it keeps evolving. And a mind is the most sophisticated tool on the planet. However, we've been given this mind with no instruction manual. So first up, Sri Krishna says, Arjun, first things first, give the mind to me if you want to understand. Why? Because we have to harness the mind. You know, when you have to harness anything, you have to have that thing present with you, right? For example, if you have to harness the wind, we go to a place where the wind is very strong. We harness wind energy and it gives power. If we don't, then it will just blow all over the place and we will not benefit from it. So when we harness the wind by a wind tunnel or something, we can be able to benefit from that. So Sri Krishna is saying, give me the mind and you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. Listen with the mind, essentially, is what Sri Krishna is saying. See, in the world, more times than not, we hear things, but we don't understand. Have you ever looked at somebody dead in the eyes and they're speaking to you? And after 10 seconds, you don't have a clue what they said? Why? Because you weren't listening. You were looking, but not listening. Why? Because the mind was someplace else. Sometimes we don't hear because we're more interested or we're more focused on being interesting to other people than to be interested. So we don't hear what they're saying. We're eager to speak. More times than not, we want to be listened to than to listen. You know, like a guy watching TV, the wife cannot get his attention. The wife knows, after some time in the marriage, that if I have to talk to him while he's watching TV, I'll speak to him during commercial. And then she speaks during the commercial, because if she speaks while the show is happening, he wouldn't hear, he wouldn't listen, he wouldn't understand, he wouldn't comprehend anything, because his thoughts are not there. The mind is on the show, even though the ears can hear. On the contrary, you know, I have a few older relatives in my family who told me that, look, not so fast. The ladies too, when they watch television, they don't hear us at all. At least we can hear during the commercial break. I said, why? They said, because the ladies are too focused on the commercial itself. Why? To see what's coming up next. You know, they show bits and pieces of what's coming up next on the show. So that's a joke, but the point is, regardless of who we are, if we don't listen, if you don't apply the mind to listening, we will hear, but we will not consume anything. So essentially, we have to rein in the mind like reining in a horse. Arjuna had everything to be successful. But one more thing he was experiencing what we experience in daily life. There's something called expectation hangover, meaning expecting too much from a person or from a situation. That would have been easier if we know how much to expect, but we cannot, because we apply the mind on various situations. Because Arjuna was thinking, look, if I have Bhagavan here with me, he can just hit a switch. He's God, he's omnipotent. He can just, with a mere thought, a fleeting thought, he can fix everything. Arjuna was having expectation hangover. But all scriptures declare unanimously that God doesn't do our work for us. This is a confusion amongst human beings. What we do, is it the work of God, is it us? Well, we can talk about that another time, but God doesn't do our work for us. We have to do the work. Bhagavan gives instructions. For example, he gives us Bhagavad Gita. He gives the inspiration, and he helps along the way. But Arjuna very quickly realized that he has got to get his hands dirty here. Put in some equity into this situation, get grip of his thoughts and act. And so when he realized that, he started listening. So to help us rein in the mind very successfully, we can role play, as a horseback rider, for example. Everyone knows, what is riding a horse. You may not have ridden a horse, but you've seen it. So imagine a horse running in a field. In an open field, that horse will be very challenging to catch and to contain it, to control it. But a galloping horse is very comfortable, or is very controllable, rather, when someone is riding it. It's different from a horse running in a field, because now you can control it. You're on its back and you're riding it. How does the rider control it? He holds on to the reins. And the horse will eventually learn to respond to the reins. Our mind is very similar to a galloping horse, in that it seems to run away with us, especially when we are having an expectation hangover. The mind tries to tell us what to do or what to expect. But the job of the rider is to observe the mind. Observe its pacing. Observe its directing. And reining it and redirecting it when necessary. So visualize that, you're on a horse and you see the reins, and the reins will give you control. So you can slow down anytime. Slow down meaning you can guide your own thoughts. Guiding your own thoughts means to be aware, more and more aware of the situation that you have at hand. Because you have that power, you have the reins in your hand. You'll be able to alter and to respond to any given situation. But to alter your response to your thoughts, we have to take control of the mind to do it. If we do, then it will literally change our brains. So by this role play, we can achieve great mastery of the mind, but we have to be willing. Arjuna was put in a situation where he had no choice. We can claim that we have a choice, but if we don't do it, we will not be able to control the mind. Because God cannot and will not, cannot may not be the right word, but would not fulfill our crave for spiritual growth. If you want to grow spiritually, it's something we have to do. Nobody can do it for us. It's something we have to approach and embrace and execute. What we can do to do that is we can use the wowing technique. You know the wowing technique? Somebody's speaking, somebody goes, whoa. Then you look back, what's happening? Something going wrong, it's time to stop or slow down. In that same technique, when you're riding an animal, like a horse, for example, in Guyana we used to say ho, right? Ho. But we can use that same technique. Why? Because it's also a calming sound. Just as you say whoa to a horse and it slows down, in the same way we must know when to say whoa to our running away thoughts, to slow down. If not, we cannot progress. We must be able to redirect the mind when it's going in the wrong direction. So whenever we're willing to try that, then we'll be able to notice our thoughts. We'll be able to notice our thoughts are like a horse. And we should be able to envision a rider reining in that horse, and that rider should be you. And we should be able to say, whoa, to bring a calming sound to our running away thoughts and slow them down. If we do so, we'll be able to take control. We'll be able to learn. Bhagavan Sri Krishna wanted to teach Arjuna. And there are 3 stages of gaining knowledge. One is kirtanam. We use this in bhakti: kirtanam, shravanam, smaranam, 3 forms of bhakti. When we do kirtanam, meaning we speak things from our mouths. But if we do so, we can forget. But then we should do shravanam. We should try to listen, because listening is one form of learning. But sometimes we would listen and we would not understand. So what we have to do, if we do kirtanam and we forget, we do shravanam, we don't understand, then we have to do smaranam. Why don't we understand and why are we forgetting? Because we're not inculcating those thoughts and teachings into our daily lives. We're not thinking about them, smaranam. Because if we think about them, they'll create channels in our brain and we'll remember them. But for us to do so, we'll have to be able to apply the mind. Benjamin Franklin says, tell me and I'll forget. Teach me and I'll remember. Involve me and I'd learn. So what Sri Krishna is trying to do here is to not only explain Bhagavad Gita in words to Arjuna, but to give him another kind of knowledge. A knowledge that is greater than words. A knowledge that is greater than telling someone something, how to do something. From the 2nd verse that we'll be doing today, the 2nd of the 2 verses, let's find out what is it Bhagavan Sri Krishna was explaining to Arjuna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, Jnanam teham vijnanam. Now, Arjuna, I shall now reveal unto you fully knowledge and wisdom, knowing which, he's telling Arjun, nothing remains to be known in this world. Jnanam and Vigyan means knowledge and wisdom. And he's saying to Arjun, not just knowledge, all-inclusive knowledge. Knowledge that covers everything. Because nothing worth knowing will be left out. When you know this knowledge, Arjuna, as long as you apply the mind, you'll be able to know this knowledge, and so there will be nothing that would remain to be known. So the philosophy here deals with reality in its fullness. Reality in its fullness, meaning how does the world operate? How should we respond to what happens in the world? See, philosophers say that philosophy is a summation, the summation of all knowledge. So Bhagavan says here that he'll be giving Arjun philosophy. See, there's a preconceived notion before we go forward that Gyan is when you go to a lecture or when you listen to a lecture, and that bhakti is singing. You know, you go to a Bhagavat and you hear a lot of singing, that is bhakti. Or you gather together with some friends and you sing some bhajans, we call it satsang. That is sangeet. And that is not necessarily bhakti. If you have some devotional feelings during when that is going on, that is great. The problem with that is it's not sustainable. Why? Because something is missing. And what is missing? Knowledge is missing. So you have glimpse. You know, bhakti will be in spouts and stops. So this bhakti is not what we're looking for. We're looking for what enables our bhakti to grow constantly without us changing what we're doing in daily life. So Sri Krishna says to Arjun that I will give you two things here, Arjun. We will do pratyakshavad, which is called Gyan, pratyaksha, that which we get from our senses when we hear, etc. We hear a lecture, we hear a pravachan. This is pratyakshavad, pratyaksha Gyan. This is knowledge. But Sri Krishna said, I'll give you knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom, according to the scriptures, is known as parokshavad, that which we get from inside. See, Gyan is the knowledge learned by applying the intellect. We listen to our professor at school, etc. We listen to the philosopher, to the pandit, to whoever it is. We get Gyan. That is knowledge. Big Gyan, what Sri Krishna is saying to Arjun, that I'll give you big Gyan as well, is called wisdom. Big Gyan is the knowledge gained through spiritual practice, through direct experiential realization, and should not be confused, it should not be misunderstood for intellectual knowledge. They're completely different. One is called pratyaksha, one is called parokshavad, or Gyan. Let's take an example. There's a jar of honey. You will not get the experiential realization of the sweetness of honey. So knowing of the honey is Gyan, tasting the honey is Vigyan. Pratyaksha Gyan is outside, knowledge from outside. Paroksha is knowledge from inside, from within. Pratyaksha is what children in school will call it tuition. Paroksha or Vigyan or wisdom is from intuition. Pratyaksha or Gyan or knowledge is theoretical. Paroksha Gyan is experiential realization, not theory. However, we should note here that both are necessary. Let's look at the words of Tulsidasi to find out how are they necessary. जाने बिनु न होई परतीति, बिनु परतीति होई नहीं प्रीति। राजा राम राम राम, सीता राम राम राम, राजा राम राम राम, सीता राम राम राम, राजा राम राम राम, सीता राम राम राम। जानो बिनु न होई परतीति, बिनु परतीति होई nahi priti. Ramayana tells us, this is Uttarkand, that if you want to find it, it's right after Doha 88. Kagbasundi is saying to Garud that, and they're speaking about Kali, that without knowledge, faith is out of the question. We will not have any faith. And without faith, there can be no love for God. How do we develop love for God? By having faith, by having bhakti. So if you don't have knowledge, you would not be able to climb the ladder. So this is the importance and the necessity of knowledge. So Sri Krishna is now giving knowledge to Arjun. Krishna says, I'll give you both, Arjun, sight and insight, theory and experience. You will know reality, you will know Nirgun and Sagun, or Nirgun and Nirakar, and Sagun and Sakar. We know them by different terms, God with attributes and God without attributes, God with a form or without a form, etc. We need to, because if we don't, it will be like we know someone from the office, we have a, our boss or someone else, and we know what their bhavana is in the office. They're very formed, very to the point, very serious. But at home, there could be somebody else, possibly. We cannot claim that we know this person, even though we've worked with him or her for so long, if we don't know them in entirety. We've never seen them on the field of sports, we've never seen them at home, we've never seen them on vacation. So there are many aspects of them that we don't know. So if you claim that we know God because we know God as without form of God with form, that is still limited. We have to know both. And so Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, I'll teach you both. So if we were to use an example of if we only know one, let's take, for example, we have knowledge. That is not enough, and it may not help us. Let's take wheat for an example. Wheat grows in the field. We know what is the end product of wheat. But wheat can be of no use to us as human beings, because that wheat has to be ground. So wheat here represents education, and we get from the outside world. But we have to get the ground wheat now and make dough and prepare, roti or paratha. And so the roti now represents knowledge, because we've gone through a process, assimilating. We know how to use this knowledge now because we've made roti with it. But then we have to also eat the roti. We have to internalize that roti. In moderation, of course, depending on what kind of roti you make. In the West Indies, we make something called sada roti. And sometimes we call klapan roti, which is paratha. So sada roti means simple. The word sada means simple. Simple roti. Why? Because we're not putting too many things there. No oil or anything. We just take some flour and we bake it. This is a little healthier. But when we make paratha, we can, flour is already not good, the white flour. We make aloo paratha, we put some aloo inside. We make chini paratha, we put some sugar inside, we call it sugar roti. We make paneer paratha. We load things into something that is already not good for us. However, this is just an example. So we have sada roti and we eat it. And when we eat it, we digest it, we get benefits of the calories or the carbs, whatever is in there, so that we can function in a similar manner. The knowledge alone cannot help us. Until that knowledge is understood and internalized and put into practice, then it would not be parokshavad. It would not be experiential realization. So knowledge, everyone, we all say knowledge is power, but probably it is better to say that knowledge is potential power. Why? Because if we have knowledge and don't use it, how is it any power? Knowledge in action is what power is. If you know to prepare roti and you make it, what kind of power is that? You would not get any strength and benefits from it. Or even if you were to take scriptural examples, Athava jata labha santosha sapne hu nahi dekhi pardosha. We learned this from Ramayana. The 9 forms of devotion, Athava jata labha santosha. That contentment is something that will make us much, much happier than we are today. But how many of us practice contentment? We may say it, but we don't feel it. We don't practice it. Paramadharma sruti vidita hinsa paraninda samaghana garisa. Paramadharma, that a vow of non-violence, is the highest religious merit. Paraninda, and the greatest sin we can do is speaking ill of others. We have that knowledge. How many of us are practicing it? And if we're not, then it's just knowledge. And it's not helping us in any way because we're not internalizing it, we're not practicing it. The most simplest of examples we can use today is this. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhus cha sakha tvameva. Every Hindu knows that. What we're saying in the whole sloka, Tvameva mata, oh God, you alone are my mother. You alone. Eva means alone, not also. So Tvam eva mata cha pita, Lord, you alone are my father. Tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva, you alone are my brother and you alone are my friend. Tvameva vidya, you alone are my knowledge. Dravinam tvameva sarvam. Dear Lord, you alone are my everything. Let's be honest with ourselves. When we say Tvam eva mata cha pita tvameva, do we actually believe that? Do we believe it in its entirety? We know what the prayer means. We've been saying it since before I was born, since before you were born. Do we actually believe it? Most of us don't, but we just say it. This is knowledge. Knowing something without practicing it is what knowledge is. There's a beautiful slok in Ved. This is how it goes. Astityevo palabdhyastva tattvabhavena chobhayo astityevo palabdhyasya tattvabhavah prasidati. This is Kathopanishad, second canto, 3rd chapter, 13th verse. Kathopanishad says that if we believe the things, the aforementioned things, Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, God is really our mother, then tattvabhava prasidati, Kathopanishad says, immediately we will attain God. We will become God realized. But we just have the knowledge. We don't have experiential realization of God. And so that's why we cannot attain Him. We have to start converting our knowledge. The day we believe that God is our everything, we'll attain Him immediately. So it's a simple process. Understand what we're saying, and then believe it, and we'll attain God. So one importance, as it relates to our scriptures, of Parokshavad, remember we talk of Pratyaksha Gyan, Paroksha Vigyan, or wisdom. One thing that is very, very important before we close today is when our scriptures are written, the authenticity of our scriptures depend wholly on Parokshavad. It should be written only by those who have experienced God. Because Parokshavad, Vigyan, or wisdom, is needed to write the scriptures. We know the Katha of Ved Vyas, when he wanted to, he had already written 17 Puranas. But he was not satisfied. He wanted to do something more. He wanted to write about Sri Krishna. He intended to write Srimad Bhagavatam. But he did not want to only write a scripture that based on Gyan. He wanted to write something that has Gyan and Bhakti, because in Kali Yuga, Bhakti would lead us to God. So what did Ved Vyas do? We'll find out from Bhagavat Mahapurana. बाल मुकुंद जय नंद लाला कृष्ण कंधैया जय गोपाला बाल मुकुंद जय नंद लाला कृष्ण कंधैया जय गोपाला जय गोपाला जय गोपाला कृष्ण कंधैया जय गोपाला जय गोपाला जय गोपाला कृष्ण कंधैया जय गोपाला बाल मुकुंद जय नंद लाला कृष्ण कन्हैया जय गोपाला कृष्ण कन्हैया जय गोपाला भक्ति योगे न मनसि सम्यक् प्रणीतो मले अपश्युत् पुरुषं पूर्णं मायां च तरपाश्रयम् जय गोपाला कृष्ण कन्हैया जय गोपाला जय गोपाला कृष्ण कन्हैया जय गोपाला कृष्ण कन्हैया जय गोपाल. So Ved Vyas wanted to write Bhagavat Mahapuran. He had Gyan because he wrote so many other Puranas already. What did he have to do? Ved Vyas, he got himself involved in what is called the experience of bhakti. Bhakti yoga. He indulged himself in bhakti, and that was the only way, because Ved Vyas had knowledge, so he knew for me to write about bhakti, I have to experience bhakti, I have to experience love. I have to have experiential realization of what bhakti is from God. If not, I cannot write. I have Gyan, but I want to write about bhakti. So he engaged himself in bhakti, and he attained experiential realization, which is called Vigyan, and then he wrote Bhagavat Mahapuran. So through Bhakti Yoga, Ved Vyas, he fixed his mind upon God. When we do bhakti, when we give the mind to God, like Sri Krishna is saying, that is one form of bhakti. Fix the mind in Bhagavan, you will be able to realize everything. Because Ved Vyas had a complete vision and realization of God, along with God's Maya, his external energy, which of course Bhagavan has under control, unlike us. So inspired with this realization, he went on to write Bhagavad Mahapuran. That is why in the 11th canto, Sri Krishna tells Uddhav, if you remember when we discussed last Sunday, Uddhav Gita, Sri Krishna is telling Uddhav that what is written in Bhagavad is paroksha, is vigyan, is wisdom, is real knowledge, knowledge from experience. This is why scriptures have a deeper meaning, and a meaning that cannot be accessed fully by the intellectual mind. We have to have experience, wisdom, realization to understand the scripture fully. We'll understand on the surface what it says, but if we do not have experiential realization, there is only so far we would understand. Ramayana helps us to understand rasika bina ko samajasakaina kagajane kagahi kai bhaka. Ramayana says only the saint, in the same way that only a bird understands the language of another bird, in the same way only a saint, a God-realized soul, understands the language of another saint. So when you read scriptures, when we all read scriptures, we have to ensure an interpretation of that scripture is done by a person with the necessary tools and knowledge, or the appropriate authority, a person who has experiential realization of God, not only book knowledge. Not only a person, if you have a PhD, you think, now I can interpret the Gita. No, it takes more than that. So we have to have that and have parokshavad. See, because knowledge is described as a freshly made pickle. You know pickle? You prepare some things, some fruits, cucumber, whatever it is. You put it in a bottle there with some liquids. And if you try to eat that the same day, a couple hours after, what happened? See, the fruit in there is very sharp still, because you soak it in that chemical or vinegar, whatever it is. So that is knowledge. When you have knowledge, you become very sharp. You have jnana, bhimano, I know this, I know that, I know. This is fine. This is a blessing that you know. But when it comes to knowing the scripture, it's a different ball game. The pickle that stays in the bottle for a while, if you go eat it a few days after, that same thing that was very sharp, it mellows down. Now you can bite it with your bare teeth and you don't have to make a mouth that is so uncomfortable. Because the knowledge was there, it seeps into, it internalizes into that fruit or whatever is there, and now it becomes mellow. This is what paroksha, this is what vigyan does. It calms us down if we have both. This is why in the very popular Chaupai we say, Binu sat sanga viveka na hoi, Ram kripa binu sulabha na soi. Binu sat sang viveka na hoi. There's a deeper meaning to this. We call this, we know how this is explained. Oh, go to satsang. Then associate with the right people, you'll get knowledge. That is on the surface. That is scratching the surface of what this means. What this means is that we have to, the sang that we have, the association that we should seek out for is this association, the sang of Sat. Sat means here a saint. In many songs where Sacho Darbar Ki Jai, many songs, right? Sacho Darbar means the association, means the group, the family of saints, because the saints are truthful. The rest of us, sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. A God-realized soul is always truthful. You become Harishchandra. And so this is the satsang we need. We need to find out the real, deeper truth so that we can grow spiritually. Because we'll get knowledge, But when we seek the truth from a God-realized soul, then we get God-realized. I'll give you an example. Saints, God-realized soul, look at some work from early people interpreting our scriptures. One very famous one is called Max Muller, a British philologist. He was a Sanskrit scholar, so he decided to interpret the Ved. When the people with Parokshavad, when the saints with realization looked at the Ved, because Max Muller was not a saint, he was just a scholar from a secular standpoint, they found so many mistakes in Ved. Why? Because he translates Sanskrit words literally. Hence he will give the wrong meaning. There are words like Agni and Purush and Devata and Akash in Ved. Agni can mean the Devata, the god of fire. Purush can mean man. You have to have realization to understand when these words mean God. And these things are not written in Ved. These words in Ved mean God. The word Aj is written there in Ved. Aj means a goat. So Max Muller went on to interpret that Hindus worship goat. But Aj from a spiritual standpoint means unborn. Aj means God. That which is unborn is Aj. And that is what we worship, not goat. But when you do it with knowledge, these are the mistakes you will make. Without Paroksha Gyan, you will read divine words and give them material interpretation like Max Muller did. Because saints are above Maya. There's so many most beautiful slokas in Ved that helps us to understand what Parokshavad is. Let's just take one of them before. This is how this sloka goes. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayan askritah kritena tadvijnanatasa gurumeva bighakshet samitpani strotriyah brahmanishtam. This is Atharva Ved, Mundak Upanishad, 1st Canto, 2nd Chapter, 12th verse. Why do we need to listen to knowledge from the saints? Saints meaning, we don't have to have a physical proximity to them, but we have to follow their work, ensure that it is not lost in translation. Those people who are still lucky, there are enough saints in the world that you can, form an association with. It depends on our willingness. So a saint, according to Ved, Mundak Upanishad, is a teacher, a guru, is Trotriyam and Brahmanishtam. Remember in the Torah, Tad Vijnanartham, the one who has Vijnan, Saguru Meva Bigachate, is a guru. What is it that Vijnan means? In the last line, Strotriyam means to know all the scriptures, not some. All the scriptures in Sanatana Dharma. How is that even possible? Of course it's possible, because when you attain God, all the scriptures declare that when we attain God, He gives us His knowledge. So it makes you Strotriyam. You know all the scripture, but that does not qualify you to write the scriptures or to be guru. There are two things. Strotriyam, Brahmanishtam. Brahmanishtam means that person who has practical experience of God. You must have experienced God. You are associated with God. You operate from a level of Brahman and not as a human being. Only then you can write scriptures. You will attain a vision of God. And you will operate like that, entirely in Brahman. Because nothing that is eternal can be gained by that which is not eternal. Follow? Nothing that is eternal. Eternal blessings cannot be gained by someone who's not, or something that is not eternal. We're eternal if we God realized. Soi janahi dehu jahu janahi. That one who knows Ramayana, for example, if you know Ramayana, many people, many of us, we know Ramayana, this katha, the other one, Ramayana. Many people say that so loosely because we see Ramayana as a storybook. We heard all these kathas, but we never go into the philosophy of Ramayana to see why is it a law book? It is the life of Sri Ram, so what can we learn from it? Is it only stories? No, it is in story form so that it can be engraved in our psyche, in our brain, in our consciousness. But there's tremendous philosophy in Ramayana that we can use and grow spiritually and attain God. So when you get to that point, Soi janahi, dev jahu janahi, that a person who knows Ramayana becomes Ram. Shrotiyam brahmanishtam. You become Ram when you experience, when you're associated permanently at that level. You become Ram. So my dear friends, with this small presentation, it's an opening of, at least a beginning of our Bhagavad Gita discussion. We read the first and second verses. I hope that you will take something away from it. Remember that Pratyakshagan or Pratyakshyavad is knowledge from the outside, it's tuition or theory. And Parokshavad is knowledge from inside, intuition or experiential realization. We must also remember that both are needed. And we need to exhaust all our possible legal and all possibilities, dharmic possibilities. We need to be resolute. And if we are and exhaust all possibilities that are, of course, legal and dharmic, then we'll find a way to God. God meaning God's experience, His inspiration in our life every day, to bring that peace and contentment that we're looking for, to work with enthusiasm for other human beings and for community. That is what we will be experiencing God, that we will stop putting the intellect in front of everything and cause ourselves harm. So remember these things, that when we have knowledge, we must look deeper into the knowledge and internalize it. It will help us. We will become a person who is enjoying God's grace every day. So in whatever we do, let's not expect anyone, whoever it is, to spoon feed us. Let us not choose the easy way out like Arjun. Arjun learned eventually, but he wanted to choose the easy way out. Let's gather our thoughts together. Recognize the current situation that we're going through right now. Let us harness our mind. Let us put our best efforts together and our best foot forward. If we do all those things, if we take the knowledge and we internalize it, then we have an understanding of what's happening, that what's happening is happening, we can't change it. If we can change it, let's go ahead, be bold and change it. If we cannot, then let's just do the best that we can do for ourselves and for our families. By having clarity in the mind, by giving the mind to God, giving the mind to divinity, is another way of looking at this. When we give the mind to divinity, we'll have divine clarification. We'll stop being fearful. We'll stop making mistakes along the way, and we'll only do that which is best for us. If we perform those things, then what would happen? The results that we're looking for will take care of themselves. So always be cognizant. Be cognizant like Arjun, that you have Bhagavan by your side, but you're in a battlefield of life, a battlefield of Kurukshetra. Every day we fight this battle, whether it's a pandemic or it's something else, Some of us, every day we have a different pandemic in our life. It doesn't have to be medical. So we must accept that we have this battlefield of Kurukshetra going on in our hearts. We must always assume and remember that we have Sri Krishna sitting, Mama Ivansho Jiva Lokena Ishwara. Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshya Arjuna Tishtati, that God sits in our heart. So He is that same God that sat with Arjun. He's that same God that sits in our heart where we're fighting our battles from. And know that if we turn to Him and we're willing to work, that the results will take care of themselves. I hope this brings a little insight to the first and second verses of Bhagavad Gita. We will continue again next week. We'll continue with the third verse. These two verses don't have a whole lot going on, but we try to introduce it in that way. It gets deeper and gives more information as we progress. We want to close here today. Before I close again, I want to thank all the Pandits who are here with us today. Pandit Nishal Narayan, Missy Radha from Guyana, Pandit Tulsi Prasad from Legwan is with us, Pandit Amit Paresar from 72 Mandir. These Mandirs, we're doing this satsang in support of. All the other Pandits, my Mamu, Pandit Hari Prasad, I see Dad is online with us, Pandit Chandraban Hardwar, also another person of great knowledge. And I'm also excited to also have my dad, my chacha, listening, Pandit Satyacharan Sharma. I call him Pandit. He's not a Purohit Karmi, but he's a scholar in his own right. He studied Sanskrit for a long, long time at the Vidya Bhavan in London. So Dad, good to have you. I'm somewhat doubtful that you're hearing what I'm saying, because you're probably having a little nap, so wake up. To all you Pandits, my brother Pandit Dinesh Dubey, and to all the other Pandits who are on, thank you for coming on with us. I think our brother Dr. Brahm Hardwar is also on with us, so Dr. Ji, thank you. Thank all of you. And feel free to let us know how we can improve this Bhagavad Gita reading. If you think it was at least half okay, then you don't have to tell us anything. If you know we can improve in any way, to all you scholars, I think my brother Sri Maranji is also online with us. If you can send us feedback to help us along so that we can share knowledge. Next week, we shall continue with chapter 7, verse 3 of Bhagavad Gita. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.
Radha Krishna Foundation presents an experience you don't want to miss, the first of its kind, with artists from all over the globe. Live on Facebook and YouTube. On August 8th, 2020, Janmashtami around the world.
Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. We shall do a small bhajan and we'll do our meditation. Our bhajan is asking Bhagavan, Mathura Kashi, the Lord of Mathura and Kashi, Manamohan Manaki Vasi, to be the indweller in our mind. Let us be able to focus our mind. If we do so, we'll be able to attain His grace. Tere charan mere Mathura Kashi Banwari Braj ke baase. Mere charan mere Mathura Kashi Banwari Braj ke baase. Rakhiya darshan ki matwari manmohan 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 man ke vaase. Mere charanon mere mathura kashi banwari braj ke vaase. मेरा मन तेरा मंदिर है भगवन, इससे तू ही समाया. मेरा मन तेरा मंदिर है भगवन, इसमें तू ही समाया. मेरे रोम रोम अंतर में तूने भक्ति का दीप जलाया. तेरी शरण में हो मोहे अपना ले, तेरे द्वार खरा अभिलाषी. तेरे चरण मेरे मथुरा काशी बनवारी ब्रज की बासी. रखिया दर्शन की मतवारी मनमोहन ओ मनमोहन मनमोहन मन के वासी. तेरे चरण मोरे मथुरा काशी बनवारी ब्रज के वासी. वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. And now if you can close your eyes, sit straight in a comfortable position. If you can keep the back straight and the neck straight. If you can feel our feet on the ground, that's a better position to sit. If you're sitting on a chair, I try to put our hands on our thighs, close our eyes and take a few deep breaths in. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Remember, we can imagine that we're having an experience of riding a horse where the wind is smashing into our face, but in a very good way. It's refreshing. And as we ride, we're feeling that wind, and we feel that we have lifted off. As we use our yogic power and we're flying into the air and through the distant galaxies, we've reached the end of the material universe, which is surrounded by a river called the Birja Nadi. That we're crossing that river, and beyond this river there can be no Maya, there can be no material energy, meaning we're leaving completely behind our suffering and our sorrow, because they cannot follow us past the Birja Nadi. And you're going through all these beautiful places, Siddhalok, Vaikund, etc. And as you move closer and closer, you reach what is called Vrindavan Dham, Golok Dham, or Golok Vrindavan, where Sri Krishna and Radha Rani, where they reside. You now enter into this divine world, and you can observe how unbelievably beautiful it is. You can observe the grass and the trees, and the different colors of flowers and the trees, and the different colors of butterflies, and the cows, so calming, so friendly. You can see the river, the Yamuna, and the running water is like a therapy. You've never heard a more beautiful sound. You can see and understand that these are all flowing with love for Bhagavan. As colorful and as attractive as they are, they're brimful with peace and fulfillment. And you realize that these are not separate, so overwhelmingly beautiful they cannot be separate from God, from Kanhaiya, from Radharani. You realize that they themselves have become Sri Krishna, or Sri Krishna has become these creatures, these butterflies, and the trees and everything. They're just a representation of God. You can see the divine moon, so big and bright. It is so peaceful, so soothing that it makes all the peacocks dance in ecstasy. And as you stroll in this unbelievably beautiful and most peaceful atmosphere, you hear faintly the sound of a flute, and you're thinking that has got to be Muralidhar, it's got to be Sri Krishna. As the sound approaches, you're having a faint vision of Radharani and Kanhaiya, and then eventually you're a few feet away from them, and you have stopped in amazement, and they have stopped for you to have a good look of bhakti. And so you realize that this is Krishna, stunningly beautiful, and Radharani, more beautiful than beauty itself, and they're standing in front of you. You rush to embrace them. Streams of tears are flowing down your cheeks as you realize how fortunate you are today. And they say to you quietly in your ear that we've been waiting so long for you to come, since eternity. What took you so long? We've been longing to embrace you, who are so happy that you have finally come. Kanhaiya and Sri Krishna, Kanhaiya and Radharani are saying this to you, and you're thinking God is so kind that He's saying these things to me, just a fallen soul. You're enjoying the hug, you're enjoying the embrace of Radharani and Kanhaiya, and you realize that they're saying that you've finally come. Why? Because you've attached the mind to them. You're learning from Arjuna to attach the mind. And attaching the mind to God, you'll experience Him, and that is why He says that you have come. Whenever the mind is attached to God, O Krishna, also help me in this path of attaching my mind so that I can always experience you. And upon hearing their words, you say, O Dina Bandhu, O friend of the fallen, I'm so eternally grateful for this experience. I do want to experience this more and more often, so please help me to understand the knowledge that you have given in the scriptures. Having heard that, Sri Krishna takes the Bhagavad Gita and He gives it to you. You open the Bhagavad Gita to know what is written in here. He has written this Gita in His own handwriting. He's given you an instruction manual for the mind. He's given you a manual to be happy, a manual to be successful, a manual that would make you experience happiness that you've never experienced before. You gladly accept it, and you're saying to the Lord that I will read this and understand to the best of my ability while I focus my mind on you. Sri Krishna says that is a first step, is worship. And whenever you worship me, you'll be able to attain me. Focus the mind on your gaze on Sri Krishna, His pitambar, His necklace, a peacock feather on His head. Beauty like you've never seen before. Keep your mind there, and keep it there as long as you can, as often as you can. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. So I was just reading a text message of an update. I'll tell you about it when we close this group oil. Our voices together, we know this prayer. Let's focus the mind on Bhagavan as we pray. Bar 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 mang ho Harshadeh Shri Rang Parsaro Jayan Pavani Bhagati Sada Satsangasya Pati Ramachandra Ki Jai Sharanam Prabhu Umapati Mahadeva Ki Jai Pavan Sut Hanuman Ki Jai Syavar Ramchandra Ki Jai Sharanam Prabhu Sab Santan Ki Jai Jai Sitaram Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Raseshwari Radha Rani Ki Jai. Before I go, I just want to update you on a little news here, especially here in Florida. many people think. We've been talking to people in different parts of Florida, and we think the pandemic is gone and we don't need to do anything right now, that we can all just live normal lives. Unfortunately, that's not the case. As a matter of fact, it is worse now in Florida than it has ever been. It started to raise by 1,000 a day maybe 3 weeks ago, and then 2,000 a day, then 5,000 a day, 10,000 a day. I was reading a text message just now that says in the last 24 hours we recorded more than 15,000 cases. So this information is not designed to scare you, my friends, but ignorance of the situation can cause us harm. And so we must know that this thing is more rampant than it has ever been. Not only in Florida, in 30 other states, but especially in Florida. I think Florida is in the top 3 worst states in the country. So please be careful. Please exercise all your precautions. Your mental precaution as well as your physical precautions. Stay indoors as much as you can. For those of you who have to go to work, do so very carefully. And for those of you who don't have to, it's not a time to hang out. It's not a time to go to families. It's not a time to have parties. Just stay indoors the best you can, because we want every one of you listening to come out of this. It will come to an end. It's a challenge for us. Let's test our resolve. Let's test our patience. Test our determination. Stay indoors. Stay safe with your family. If you're careless, you're putting your whole family at risk. Don't do that. Exercise caution. And let's all come out of this on the other side, healthy, through God's grace. Until I see you again, may Bhagavan keep you safe. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.
Radha Krishna Foundation presents an experience you don't want to miss, the first of its kind, with artists from all over the globe. Live on Facebook and YouTube. On August 8th, 2020, Janmashtami around the world. This live satsang is presented by Radha Krishna Foundation in light of the ongoing lockdown and in support of Sri Lakshmi Mandir of West Palm Beach, Florida. Radha Krishna Dham of number 73 Village, Guyana. Number 7271 Sanatan Mandir of number 72 Village, Guyana. Dharma Mandir of London, United Kingdom. And Shiva Mandir Ashram of Legwan Island,